So why are we looking at this issue?
Letters page.
Oh.
This is another episode of the Flight Ringers podcast. I'm David King. That's Dan Spottswood.
It's good to be here. Thank you.
We are professional cartoonists, and we are Legion of Superheroes experts. It's the letters page in Legion number 8. They're talking about Legion number 5. Yeah, the first guy, Jonathan Ezor, New Haven, Connecticut. He has a pretty positive letter. He says it's the best. Issue 5 was the best Legion comic since Great Darkness Saga. I think that's what he says.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's pretty complimentary. He said he's kind of apprehensive about the direction of the comic after issue 5, issue 5 is the famous Mordruverse alternate timeline Renaissance Festival story.
Like he's concerned that'll become indefinite.
I think he understands that it may be a one-off thing, but yeah, if it's not, he doesn't quite know what they're going to do. But then he says, if it is, and they go back to regular world, he wonders why they bothered at all.
Right, and he seems to think like there's a possibility that they're going to completely replace all the characters with new characters.
Yeah, he thinks that maybe all the parts about replacing different pieces in the timeline means that when they come back from issue 5 to the restored real world, they're just going to start at whatever, Adventure Comics 247 or something like that again. And he isn't into that idea. He seems like he would stick around if they did that, but he's not as into that as he is of them continuing the saga as we've always
known.
It
would be pretty stupid, especially if you were a fan and you'd followed it for 35 years and then they just all went white on a page and then next issue you have to start again from the very beginning.
I know.
It's like, I'm going to have to wait 30 more years until we get back to this point to see what happens next. It's a good thing they did not do that.
I know. Like, as I was reading this, I thought about that, how, like, well, that actually happened 2 more times. They didn't do it here. In this series, they did their best not to just stir it up and turn it upside down.
Well, they kind of did it in the series, but later on in the series, it was the same volume. Right.
It was in this series technically, but
Wade.
In the aegis of Keith and Tom and Mary and Al, they didn't do that. They did their best to not do that. But
right,
yeah, I feel like with the bad rap that the 5 years later stuff gets sometimes, it's like, well, what did you really want? You know, you got that eventually, right?
Right.
Or I don't know, like they erased everything. Here they are just continuing it.
They really bent over backwards to keep it going, keep the story going. Like,
yeah,
it really seemed like the powers that be were trying to cripple the book, and they kept cleverly figuring out ways to keep it going. They must have been like, we'll take Superboy away and that'll end it for sure. There's no way they could move forward without Superboy. And they figured out a very crazy, convoluted way for it to work. I guess it wasn't convoluted. It made sense, but
yeah, it was convoluted, but it made sense. Yeah, I don't know why somebody would want to just stymie this other comic book and be like, you know, like, well, surely they can't continue if we take away Superboy. Like, why do you want them not to continue, you know?
Part of the problem that these fans don't appreciate, assuming some of these fans are, you know, not little kids.
I think they're definitely not little kids.
Right. It's unfortunate, but Tom and Mary and the editor can't say, look, we're doing the best we can. They told us we can't use this character anymore. They can't say that, obviously. They're kind of getting blamed for things that are out of their control.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that they did kind of allude to it in this letters page, but when I read it again today, they don't say anything. They just take their licks and they're like, I hope you'll stay with us or whatever, you know?
Right.
But this guy, Jonathan Ezor, does sound like he will stick around.
Mm-hmm.
The next letter from Charles Sperling of Flushing, New York, he is not into this comic.
Mm-hmm.
He says he liked issues 1 and 3. He disliked issues 2 and 4, and so he made the decision that if the trend continued of liking one and disliking the next one continued, he would drop the book.
Why wouldn't he just buy every other issue?
Yeah, well, because he tried to issue 5, didn't like it, and then his mind was made up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to me, I liked 2 and 4. I mean, I liked 1 a lot. 2 is just like we talked about it before. 2 is just like it's some pages that didn't get to fit into issue 1.
Right.
It's the same comic.
Right.
But to hear this dude say I liked 1 and 3, but I didn't like 2 and 4, he sounds like some clown who likes Star Trek 1 and 3 and doesn't like Star Trek 2 and 4.
You know, the way I took it, and I was like in middle school when this came out, 12, 13, like issue 4, when they were resetting everything, I was like kind of emotionally attached to these characters. So I was sort of upset with what they were doing to the characters, but at the same time, it was so interesting. I still ended up liking it, even though I'm like, I hate that you killed Block, but it's really cool what's going on. The storytelling is good. So
yeah.
And hopefully when you're older, like these guys were probably not 12 when they read it, they'd have the emotional intelligence to like understand, like they're telling good stories, and that's what's important. Even if it means one of your favorite characters is old now or dead.
Well, this guy even points out that he says he's not a long-term diehard Legion fan.
Right.
But then he also goes on to say that, well, I have also, though, read all the issues of Adventure Comics.
Right.
With the Legion in them. So I don't know if he's trying to, I don't know what, he's trying to play a little game with us where he is a diehard longtime Legion fan, but he's going to say he's not just so that he can maybe make his point a little stronger that says, you're no good. Take it from me. I don't even know anything about Legion of Superheroes comic books. Something like that.
It seems like no small feat to read all those in 1990-ish before there's
totally.
Comixology or reprints.
Yeah, it's just 80 comics from 20 years ago. Somehow he's read them all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's no reprints. There's no DC archives of this. Maybe there's one DC archives of those comics at this point. Yeah, so I think this guy's a liar. I think he is a diehard fan, and he's just butthurt.
Right. I didn't like this book anyway.
Yeah, he was mad that they brought back Andrew Nolan for an issue. Mm-hmm. He thinks he seemed to think that the Renaissance Fair storyline would be forever. And like you told me that you thought that, but you were a kid when you read this.
Right.
I think this guy, well, he's read 30 years worth of Legion comics.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess 10 years of Legion comics from 20 years ago, something like that.
Right.
So this dude is he's probably a college guy, probably that old. He's probably 25 or something. Definitely an adult. He knows, he knew that this was not a permanent new direction for this comic where they're in this dystopia Renaissance Fair world.
Yeah, for sure.
He just wanted to get it off his chest that he's mad that he doesn't like their comic book.
But I do like, you lost it when Glorith cast a spell and you turned the 30th century into Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation, where you break rules if you're not having fun.
Yeah.
It's a good reference. To think back, I was like, oh yeah.
Is that must be the lyrics to, or the whatever, the idea of one of those songs? Is that the actual Rhythm Nation song? I don't really remember that song.
What? It's classic.
I mean, I kind of remember the tune of it. I don't know the lyrics of it or anything.
I don't remember exactly when and where, but she mentions breaking the rules quite a bit.
I guess I wasn't clear if he meant that, like maybe the Rhythm Nation album also sets up, it has some world building in it where, like I remember she dresses in like steampunk or something, or some kind of like Batman the Animated Series looking stuff.
They look like SWAT team.
Oh, okay, yeah,
something.
yeah.
They're all wearing like kind of black and ball caps.
Right, that's right, yeah. And so is she in a rhythm dystopia, and it's like there's a world building in the album where rules have been broken and get broken because people aren't having enough fun in their SWAT gear?
I don't know if it's that explicit. It's not like Michael Jackson where he creates an entire new world where people fight by dancing and Joe Pesci turns into robots. But
I'm not too familiar with the mythology, if there's any, of the Rhythm Nation. I remember that song Escapade that has Cab Calloway in the music video. Remember that one? And they're all wearing like raincoats and stuff. It's like Cab Calloway plus like Singing in the Rain or something, isn't it? Maybe.
Yeah, that stuff is pretty. I wouldn't have admitted to liking it at the time, but I've come to appreciate it now that I'm older. Like around that time, I was probably Guns N' Roses mullet guy. You don't listen to Janet Jackson, but
That was huge. She was super famous. She was probably more famous than Michael Jackson for a year or two there, right?
maybe longer till Justin Timberlake destroyed her career.
What? Did he purposely destroy her career?
I don't know that he did it on purpose, but
Oh,
the stupid Nipplegate thing. Yeah, like
oh.
she got kind of canceled. Like they took her off all these like award shows and stuff. And she had to put out all these apologies, but he never had to apologize to anything. And he kept getting in, he was invited to the same parties. And so even if it was planned, which I don't know that it really was, but even if it was planned, he was at least a conspirator in it, but he never suffered any consequence to it. But it basically ended her career. I mean, she has enough hardcore fans; she can still go on tour and stuff. But her career never really recovered from that.
I like talking about the '90s.
Yeah, her whole career got destroyed basically because of Justin Timberlake.
Like he was in the Backstreet Boys, and he's like, "I gotta get out of the Backstreet Boys because I need to destroy Janet Jackson." Yeah,
So it may have been planned, but he was clearly as responsible. He was part of that, but somehow his career did not suffer for it, and hers did, which is really bizarre.
that is really bizarre. It's just because men don't have nipples.
Hate to break it to you. They don't in
I
the
don't-
comics. They don't in the comics. But,
Wow.
yeah. I was thinking, like, you don't see, well, sometimes you hardly ever see workers without shirts on. Like, are we getting to a point where like men can't shut their nipples?
I hope so. No, I don't know. Like I think it is a gross double standard that guys can walk around without shirts on,
Yeah,
and
I
women
agree.
can't. Because I mean, like,
I'm 100% for
not
women
because
being
I'm
able to
saying
walk
that-
around without their shirts on.
no, I'm saying the opposite of that. I'm like, just don't walk around with your shirt off. Give me a break. Like, wear some clothes. Be a human being. This is a society we're in here.
Well, now like little kids, they wear like swim shirts pretty often, like as often as not. And I'm sort of jealous. I was like, I didn't have that option. I had to go out there and be embarrassed. And
Wait, what? Oh, it's like instead of wearing your T-shirt in the pool, it's like a special
well, most of the pools,
spandex
at least
shirt.
that I went to, like didn't allow them for whatever reason. Maybe they were worried that the dye would get into the pool, or maybe the clothes would be heavy and pull you down. But you weren't allowed to wear a shirt in the pool.
Oh,
But now it's not a
okay.
big deal to wear. I don't know. They're made of like lycra or something.
Yeah, it's like some kind of mesh or something.
Hmm.
Yeah, I guess I always felt the pressure to not wear the shirt, but I think
Suck it in.
like the fat kids always wore a shirt in the pool, you know?
Oh, smart.
Yeah.
I think the pools I went to, that was not allowed.
Yeah, I may have not gone to too many public pools. Like I went to like Boy Scout.
You were
camp
swimming in
one
the
time.
watering hole with Opie
Yeah.
down at the duck
fishing
pond.
hole, or the what do they call it? The swimming hole. Yeah.
Hmm.
No, there was like lake type of stuff,
Mhm.
and I guess here and there swimming pool. I don't know. I think I eventually gave it up just because I didn't want to be without a shirt on.
It's not so bad once you get a little tan. But when you're like pale white, pasty. And now I'm old, of course, getting a gut.
Totally, I wouldn't want to go swimming
I don't
now.
want to subject people to that.
But if you go swim, they'll
Mhm.
go away. The gut, I think. That's really good exercise, but
Yeah,
I never do it.
it is good. It's especially good for old people, which I guess
Yeah.
we're basically now. So
Yeah. Yeah, maybe one
Yeah.
of these days. For a
I
while, I
took
was going down to the beach.
just do it. You should do it. It's good for your mental health too, probably. Like the I don't know, getting the sunlight,
Oh, right.
the light therapy, whatever.
Vitamin D, K, or whatever it is. In
Right.
the sun. The vitamin in the sun.
Yeah, I guess holed up in your apartment, breathing your dead skin cells and not getting any outside time is not super good for you. Your
Yeah.
mental health. You know, because I have a kid, I'm forced to do a certain amount of that extroverted shit. And it's nice sometimes. Like I want to work on something in my room or something, and I have to go take him for a walk. I'm all stressed out about something, but something about like being outside and walking like makes you feel better. It's like, what was I all stressed out about this silly shit for?
But see, then that walk has put you behind on your work.
Right.
So you have actually more reason to be stressed out now. The walk is like a drug that makes you forget the reality of your deadlines.
Yeah, but then when you sit back down, if you can get back, that's the tough part. If you can make yourself go back, then at least at first, you're a little bit faster than you were when you stopped earlier.
That could be.
I think.
All right. The next letter is the one where they say it's the best Legion story since, not even since the Great Darkness Saga, since the era of the Darkness Saga. It's James Rickleff, repeat letter writer James Rickleff. Seems like a level-headed dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's just very, very positive about it. This guy is sticking with him through thick and thin, I think. He's like the normal person who reads this comic and writes in.
Yeah, he's glad to see Firo Lad back, but disappointed he doesn't use its power. I guess we don't know that he has his power. Did any of the characters have powers? I can't remember.
Well, they didn't.
I mean, White Witch had magic still, but...
Well, did she? Yeah, I guess she had some kind of weird telepathy magic that she was using, huh? Or dream seeing magic. Yeah, and Ron Vidar doesn't have any superpowers. And that was it. There was no other superheroes in this comic book, right?
I guess not. You know, they really missed an opportunity not making like one of the Legionnaires a villain in that. It seems like a common, like you go to the alternate reality and then one of the heroes is like with the Gestapo, or maybe they were kind of alluding to that with Velcro or whatever his name was.
Velcro.
Well, I'm thinking of the creature commando vampire guy. His name's Velcro.
It is? Is it really Velcro?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. No,
What's
that guy
his name?
wasn't in. That was Vrykos.
He wasn't in the Mordruverse?
No, he's in the regular universe as a Mordru crony. Mano was the Mordru.
Oh, yeah, Mano.
He had his powers. He didn't demonstrate them, but you assume he had them because he still had a black void of a head that had blue flame coming out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But they kind of address how, like you and I, and some letter writers thought that it wasn't Glorith, it was Dream Girl, that whole issue. And we talked about that in our issue 5 video. And just the other day, a dude commented and said they call her Glorith on like the first page that she's introduced on. So
you guys are real idiots.
Yeah, so our reading comprehension is not so good. But then also, evidently, other people who wrote in also didn't catch that.
Right.
I guess probably because they never heard of Glorith and they just assumed that maybe Dream Girl has a new name in the Mordru universe.
Right. Seems logical to me.
Yeah. But they say that that was not intentional. They didn't want us to think it was Dream Girl. The rest of the letters page is kind of dull. They talk about the amateur press alliances that a person might be able to join and talk about Legion of superhero comic books with other fans. Mm-hmm. I was never in one of those. Never knew how you would get. Like by the time I started reading it, I don't know what they do. They're still going on, I think, but
a couple of them at least.
Yeah.
Now it's all on Reddit and Facebook, and it's mostly old people complaining that characters are bi now and whatever.
I was about to say, what could they possibly have to talk about after all this time? But then I thought, oh, we talk about this every week. Us two stupid old idiots.
Right.
So they just say the same kind of shit that we do, only they type it on a Facebook post, I guess.
I think our shit is, we talk about more quality shit than they do. I feel like there's a lot of, I don't want to alienate our fan base, such as it is. But I think a lot of it is like reactionary stuff, like The same people who might not have liked this comic back then are like, why don't they make comics like that anymore? Why are they all? Why does Lightning Lad have to be black? That kind of stuff. Make your own characters.
Meanwhile, we're over here saying shit like, how does the Legion tie in to the Rhythm Nation universe of Janet Jackson?
That's right. That's right.
Like, what if Mon-El killed the Time Trapper? And then the next issue all takes place in the Rhythm Nation.
That could be good.
That issue could have come with a compact disc in the back.
They're all like dancing in sync.
Yeah.
Doing that shoulder thing she does.
Who's probably the best dancer on the Legion of Superheroes? Sunboy?
Sunboy is probably like a Night at the Roxbury guy.
Yeah.
Like grinding against strangers. And Matter Eater Lad's probably really good.
Yeah, I bet Matter Eater Lad is like a good, like, just natural. Like, he can watch somebody and pick up what they're doing real good. Mm-hmm. But then, like, a Sunboy, he was forced to go to dance classes as a kid. So he knows some moves. He knows some classical stuff. He kind of knows what they're doing on the dance floor.
Right.
But yeah, he's also like sticking his tongue out and biting it real hard and whatever that thing is.
I figure Matter Eater Lad's just out there sort of twitching and everyone thinks he's doing it like he's a really good dancer, but he's just being weird.
Yeah.
But I subscribe more to the he's crazy fan theory.
He's just crazy.
From eating the Miracle Machine, he's a little bit insane.
Element Lad is the dude who's like, he just goes with the flow, and
he wants to slow dance to sad songs, probably.
Oh, see, I thought of him as like the type of guy who would go to Burning Man and take off his clothes and ride
Element
around.
Lad. Yeah. Maybe like the 5 years later one is more rugged, I guess.
That's true. Yeah, the earlier one, he's not really loose and open, is he?
Right. Block is a really good dancer. And Block's out there, he's like killing people accidentally trying to dance.
What about the girl Legionnaires? Maybe
Dream Girl obviously would be really good.
I bet she's the best dancer. Yeah.
You know who's a pretty good dancer? Wildfire.
Yeah, you think so?
I know so. It's in his origin issue.
Oh, cool.
He goes to like a disco and he's dancing and he's wearing like what looks like a future version of a members only jacket.
Yeah. Wow.
And he's doing sort of, it looks like Bee Gees kind of disco dancing.
Yeah, so he's like John Travolta, huh?
Yeah.
whatever his name was in that movie. I never have seen it really.
He's a little more Eric Stoltz than John Travolta, but maybe he thinks he's John Travolta.
Eric Stoltz.
Right.
Yeah, Eric Stoltz. They go into this thing where it's called the Legion Round Table. And they say, as you may recall, in issue 3, we asked what you readers think accounts for the longevity and popularity of this superhero club, the Legion of Superheroes. And they print out some of the responses, some of the highlights.
Are we skipping the bits of business?
Yeah, I thought all the bits was just APAs. Oh, yeah, they have the part where they ask for some jokes, and they are dissatisfied with the jokes they get.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
But then the joke that they present is like the lamest joke. I mean, it's a joke.
A pair of docs.
Yeah. But evidently the stuff that readers sent in wasn't even as good as that.
Somebody appreciates the fact that the balloons don't drip with words emphasized beyond all sense.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're giving some props to Todd Klein. But isn't it the writer who tells the letter which of those words is emphasized and drips, etc.? I mean, like if I'm writing a comic, I will be like, this word needs to be underlined, this word needs to be underlined, or boldface, or whatever, right? It's not the letterer just does that randomly, does he?
I don't think so. That'd be really interesting if it was. They had that kind of input.
Yeah, that different emphasis is all just chosen by the letterer.
Yeah.
You would think the writers would start getting annoyed by that.
Does drip actually mean something? Is that like a... Because what I immediately think of is like when someone's pissed off and the bottom of the balloon
yeah,
drips.
No, I don't think that's what they mean. I think they're just saying that drip as in it happens all the time or something is what they're talking about.
Oh, okay.
But also, like they say, I appreciate the fact that the balloons don't drip with words emphasized beyond all sense and delight in the different Oh, they do like the different combinations of shape and color. Okay, yeah, because I thought they said they didn't like that either, but that's like a Todd Klein hallmark where he comes up with different word balloon styles
Hmm.
and caption styles for all over the place. Like Sandman is a prime
Hmm.
example, I guess, of that.
Yeah, and that's pretty essential in this book, where we spend a lot of time like we don't actually see the two people talking to each other. We don't see talking heads. We see the outside of a building or a ship or the floor.
Yeah,
Or like when you had Docs and or Largand and Eltrogand and the Time Trapper all
right. But
talking to each other in blackness.
I think maybe the Roxas multiple personalities kind of had different ones. I could see it kind of going overboard in other aspects, in other
Hmm.
like later on, like when it's computer and you can have a different font for each
Yeah,
character and
yeah.
a different like word balloon shape because you just pull it out of your Illustrator program toolbox or whatever, however they do
Hmm.
that.
Right.
And like maybe that's too much. Like let's just go back to the same thing for everybody and see how that works.
Hmm.
Like unless you have like you have to have a clear vision of the graphic design, I guess, of the comic.
Hmm.
And I don't know, maybe they do a great job all the time. I don't know. I could see it going off the rails pretty easily.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm just an old timer who doesn't read too many new comics.
It seems like they do a lot more of what is it? Like it's lowercase and they'll go into italics if like a girl is sweet talking her boyfriend or something, like to sort of evoke that she's talking with a cute girly voice.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about? No, maybe.
Maybe it's in those Eros comics that you read.
Yeah.
Oh, this one bit of business is they say some fans are more bloodthirsty than others.
Hmm.
This one guy basically wants Roxas to kill everyone. Colossal Boy and Yira, all the Wanderers, the Heroes of Lalor, and the Substitute Legion. Wonder why that is. He only wants a universe with a legion of superheroes. He doesn't want any competition. And the heroes are not, the Wanderers are barely even superheroes. They're kind of nobodies and they're gone.
Right. Yeah, it's weird. I like all the like to me like if I were given the choice, I think I'd almost rather write like a substitute heroes book or maybe even a Lalor book before the Legion itself because there'd be more room to do stuff with them.
Yeah, I think the Heroes of Lalor definitely have potential.
Hmm.
I think nowadays the substitutes are thought of too much as comedy relief, but the Heroes of Lalor, I don't know. You don't know shit about Lalor anyway. Like there's a bunch of
Right.
heroes there, and more we probably ever never seen before. Gas Girl.
Gas Girl. Yeah. I would definitely make sure Duplicate Boy had his mustache. I
Oh
really
yeah,
feel like that completes him.
dumbass Duplicate
Yeah,
Boy.
this super powerful character, one of the most powerful characters in the Legion universe, but he's kind of a dumbass.
Yeah, definitely a huge dumbass.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
Oh, but I had gotten to the roundtable part. What accounts for the longevity and popularity? What's your answer? What do you think? What accounts for it? This is Dan Spotswood's point of view.
um, I mean, I can say what pulled me to it or kept me interested was like the rest of the DC because I was more of a Marvel guy growing up. Like the rest of the DC stuff, I'd have to learn that entire universe. Whereas this one book, it was like it was an entire universe to itself. Like it had its own who's who. It had its own mythology. It's kind of separate. It's almost like Charlton or something. It's like its own little company.
Yeah,
One book. I liked that about it.
I like that too. And then also half of it is drawn by Keith Giffen.
I don't know about that.
Like
I
a
mean,
third of it, I guess, of like all those 30 years up until 1989. Well, actually, not even then. At that point, I think he'd been doing it for about 8 years. So not that much, not even a third of it, but quite a
yeah, I
bit
guess
of
it
it.
depends on if you're counting like the stuff that he had a hand in, but maybe he didn't pencil. Maybe
Yeah.
just did the breakdowns for. Do you have a rough count in your head how many Giffen did?
I don't. I mean, I know he did 285 up to 313 drawing wise. So that's 30, let's say
Mm-hmm.
30.
Right.
And then he did about 11 of the Baxter. So that's about 40. And then he did about, well, he didn't draw all of the 5 years later. He did breakdowns for all of it, at least.
He
I don't
drew
know.
what, like 30 of them?
I can't think of when he stopped penciling it.
Around issue 30?
Probably in the 30s. Because I think he drew 20. Like, I'm trying to think of what happened in some of these. Yeah, he probably did 20 or 30 of them. So that gives him about 50 or 60 issues, maybe.
I can't remember now. Did he draw any of those? He didn't draw Legionnaires 3. Did he draw Cosmic Boy?
Nope, those were Ernie Cologne.
They were both Ernie. And then the substitute stories.
Oh, yeah.
Did he draw both of those?
He did
the one with the Superman one, and then the special.
What's the Superman one? Oh, it's in
like
DC
Superman,
Presents
maybe
or something. Yeah, he did that. That's DC Presents. DC Comics Presents 80 something.
That counts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would say he did maybe 70, drew 70 Legion comics, penciled them.
Right. But I think Levitz wrote over 100 issues.
Yeah, I think so.
Because he wrote that entire Baxter series, and then like 30-ish of the tail end of the previous series, and then I don't remember how many he did in the 70s, but it was probably at least 10.
Yeah, somewhere it had to have been on Levitz's Facebook. When Giffen died, he was like, "We did 60 comic books together." So
yeah,
it seems like more, but it's also like that. It would be like 5 solid years of comic books, monthly comic books.
I'm trying to think what else makes the Legion special or whatever. One answer I kind of don't like because I like them getting older and progressing, but I guess the elevator pitches, they're like, it's like kids. It's high school. It's Archie with superpowers.
I don't feel like they even play that up, even in the Adventure Comics issues, too much. Like they're teenagers, but they don't have Spider-Man problems.
That was another thing he did when I was looking at these Levitz ones that actually was kind of good. He had a Saturn girl got drunk or something and had sex with Cosmic Boy.
What?
And
like
she woke up.
Past?
Yeah, like during the Silver Age days. So she had to wipe his memory before he woke up.
Wow,
but I think she was dating Lightning Lad by this point. So they were acting more like teenagers, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, was that in like the Legion Secret Origin miniseries? I think you were telling me you got that not too long ago.
This was I was only looking at the Adventure Comics issues, but I like just kind of quickly flipped through all of them online. So I don't remember what I saw in what issue, but it's kind of scandalous, erasing his memory.
I know, it's like taking away his consent in a way.
How did I get this rash? I haven't slept with anybody.
Yeah, that's kind of messed up, huh? Like we can both agree to have sex, but after it's all over, you make me forget that I agreed to it. That's weird. Like, I don't have that power over you, but you can do that to me.
Right.
I'm not too into that notion.
Yeah.
I think she's a sex criminal.
Well, she's breaking her own fucking rules all the time. Like, what happened to I don't read other members' minds? Like, she clearly breaks the rules all the time.
Yeah. A lot of times she'll be like, oh, he was broadcasting his emotions or something. And I couldn't help but know what he was thinking.
Right.
When she was fucking Cosmic Boy, did she make him wear a medallion with her picture on it?
So she could gain his powers.
She could look at her own face while she was having sex with him.
How do people from her world keep secrets from one another?
It's honor system.
Oh.
Next issue, Laurel's story. There's another fill-in. I forgot. It's also some Origin of the Legion of Superheroes type of shit. The next issue.
Yeah, but I think maybe it's more rewarding than this one, even though it is recapping a lot of stuff. You're actually seeing where things are different because she's being plugged into Supergirl's role.
No, but Brainiac 5 actually had a Supergirl robot, right?
Oh yeah, I remember that. What was that? Like a 70s story?
I just saw some reference to it recently. Now I can't remember where. These guys are messed up, these Legionnaires.
Mm-hmm.
They're like children who don't have parents.
Right. Right.
And they interact with the same 20 other kids for the entirety of their adolescence.
Right. Their parents clearly don't care that they are unsupervised and running into terrorists and exploding buildings.
Or like half of them, are they orphans? Like we know some of them have parents, they showed them, but the others, I don't really know.
Well, Cosmic Boy, of course, he's like an adult technically, or
Yeah. Yeah, he's as raised as he was going to be ever, right?
yeah. But I don't know if that's a developmental thing or like a cultural thing, like because everyone's poor on that planet. And you have to be like an adult to work in the mines or something.
Right, you have to be an adult, so let's just make adults younger.
Right.
We need a bigger workforce. We'll have to consider that for next time. Just how many of these people even have parents?
Once you have Mon-El, I mean, he's like 1,000 years old. He's older than R.J. Brand, even though he's physically still 20 or whatever he's supposed to be in those early stories. He's been conscious for like 1,000 years, right? So he's older than anyone alive.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, in the original incarnation of Mon-El, didn't you tell me that he went and he hung out with Jor-El on Krypton?
He like got lost and stopped on Krypton for directions, I think.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Jor-El gave him a map.
Right, we discussed this. They kind of play fast and loose with just how long ago Krypton exploded. Like if you look at it with a telescope on Earth, Krypton, the light of the explosion we see is whatever 10,000 years old or something. I guess I don't know. You know, it could have been a long ass time ago, or
Well,
it could have been 30 years ago. Like they try and
sometimes they play with that faster than light business where like time dilates.
Yeah, yeah.
It could have blown up thousands of years before, I guess, and he wouldn't have aged much if he was moving faster than light or whatever. But then other times they seem to, they kind of do that, but not over as along a stretch. Like they'll say it blew up the day Action Comics 1 came out.
Like that's what they did in the movie, right?
Yeah,
in
yeah.
The Superman movie, that's 70.
I think that's right.
And I guess that's kind of an interesting little meta thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in a way, like you can't do speed of light, time dilation shit with one guy, but not with any of the other people who are like, oh, tomorrow we got to be on a planet at 1 billion light years from here. And then the next day we have to be back on Earth. They do that stuff all the time, even though like you start doing that and pretty soon every person you know on Earth has grown old and died like 20 times over in those 2 days that you traveled from here to 1 billion light years away and then back again. They don't do that. They ought to do that. That'll be funny, but they don't do that.
I don't know what Mon-El's excuse is, if he was in suspended animation or what they say. I know Supergirl kind of has a out because she was on Argo City where time was still moving and progressing, and like she might not have even been born when Krypton blew up.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they know. They don't know the deal.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
It's all ancient history now anyway. Now Mon-El was born in like 1996, you know? That's fine.
Was it that cartoon, that Legion cartoon, where Supergirl like took care of Kal-El or something when he was a baby? Like she babysitted him or something?
Yeah, like on Argo City. That's possible. That puts an interesting wrinkle in it, I guess. That's kind of like the fact that she's older than him in reality, but younger than him physically somehow.
I think there's a lot of lost potential with, just her interacting with her cousin as a teenager, even though they're like 20 years apart, but they're the same age there. Like, does he know who she is? Does she have to not tell him?
Well, probably not.
Right.
Right? Like he would have a crush on her. obviously.
Well, he did for his great descendant, right? The first Laurel Kent story, and he's like, "Who's that foxy chick?" And they're like, "You're only attracted to her because you're related to her."
That's right. That's right.
Some weird.
Yeah, I'm thinking of
rationale.
that Silver Age comic where Supergirl decides to find a mate for Superman, and he's like,
oh yeah, and he's like,
I want a girl just
if I
like
was
you.
not, if we weren't related, I'd."
And now, like, let's turn back the clock on that guy to when he's a teenager and he sees this blonde piece of.
For sure.
Yeah, she'd be like, "No, we can't date. No, I'm seeing Brainiac 5 as the main reason." But he's like, "Oh no, he doesn't have to know. Come on, we both got superpowers.
Right.
You're the only one who I can do it with." That's what, when I'm doing the stupid fill-in issue flashback bullshit, it's going to be that kind of story.
Yeah.
Like when in between moments of Adventure Comics 247, when Superboy's like, "Well, do you have any other Kryptonians in the future?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, you should meet her." And he's like, "Oh, it's a her. Oh boy." Something like that. Legion of Superheroes number 9 coming up next month. Paris Cullens. Haven't seen that guy in a while. That was the letters for number 8. See you in 30 days, Legionnaires.
LLL. I keep wanting to say LOL. You know, I do it every time.